Okay, we'll get into it. I just can't see you guys. That's the only thing. I'll have to. Participants.
Nick, if you go to view, you should be able to put it side by side gallery.
View.
There should be an option, view options at the very top of the screen. Is there a viewing option or no?
Yep.
No, not in Apple.
It's come up though. It's come up. It's weird.
Oh, there you go, sorted.
Thank you. Cheers. I appreciate it. All good. So I don't know how many. We'll give people a little chance to come on. But what we will do is we'll just get into the present moment. So before I introduce the text, who is Lao Tzu, what is the Tao Te Ching, and so on, let's get in the condition, So I invite everybody to be comfortable. Close your eyes. And just allow everything outside of this moment to fall away. We all get the concept of the power of now. We all understand that anything that happened in the past happened in the now. Anything that will happen in the future will happen in the now. And we only ever experience the now. But it is basically the foundation of all spiritual teachings. So just rest your awareness on the breath and allow the mind to settle. Because when we settle in and we harmonize with each other, as we read through a text like this, which is a timeless text, we'll all get different perspectives on the text. We'll all get different insights into the text. And I'm happy for anyone to share whenever. We'll see how it flows. If there's any questions that you have, you might want to write them down. And we can, at the end of every chapter, we can answer them. You can ask them. Or we can just go as we flow. We can ask whenever you want. I'm pretty flexible. So just staying with the breath. Someone just having trouble getting in. Anything that's happened in your day, let it go. Might have been a challenging day. There's been a few things interesting things happening in my day today, but they've gone and we're here. So let them go. Anything you feel you have to do tomorrow or after this, let it go. And while we're in this space, I'm going to introduce what this text is for those who are not familiar and even those who are. So the Tao Te Ching is a text that is claimed to have been wrote 2,500 years ago by a gentleman called Lao Tzu. Okay, Lao Tzu can be translated into the old master or the old guy or the old boy. Okay, nobody knew Lao Tzu's name. Sorry, his parents. He didn't have a surname, so they didn't know his real name. They didn't know where he came from. No one knew anything about him. He just appeared and he was very wise. So many stories throughout history of his interaction with Confucius. I'm so sorry, someone's just having trouble getting in. If anybody knows how to possibly help Debbie, she's trying to get in. She's messaging the group. She's saying she can't click in. If anyone can help her, I'd appreciate that. I'll tell her to get the app. So here's a secret that my teacher shared with his students. Okay, in China, Taoism. A lot of people in the West think that Lao Tzu started Taoism, but the founder of Taoism is a sage called Pengzu. Okay, Pengzu was around 250 years before Lao Tzu. Pengzu is known as the long life star. The long life star lived till he was 880 years old. And he was the founder of Taoism. 250 years later, a gentleman called Lao Tzu is on the scene. A bit of wisdom and a bit of a secret that my teacher shared was that what happened with Pengzu was Pengzu did his longevity practice every morning and didn't do anything till midday. I'm going to share that practice in these groups. And the emperor at the time, he sent some of his generals round to invite him to see the emperor, because the emperor wanted the secrets to longevity. He knew he was over 800 years old. Pengzu said, I'm happy to come and see him, but it won't be till after midday. So they went back and they told the emperor this, and the emperor took offense to it. Okay, he felt he'd been disrespected. So Pengzu, with his spiritual channels, he knew that they were going to try and kill him. Okay, so he fled to the mountains. And the secret is, which I think is such a cool story, is Pengzu is Lao Tzu 250 years later. Okay, he came back on the scene. No one knew who he was. So Pengzu is Lao Tzu. They're the same being. So when this text was wrote, he was over 1200 or around 1200 years old. Okay, it's an ancient text. When he was sharing this wisdom and he was getting a name for being a master, and people wanted to learn from him, he saw the decline of where he was living, and he got on his ox and he went to leave to go to the mountains. Now, there's many different stories, ways of telling this story. Some people say he was arrested by his own disciples. And some people say he was just simply asked if he could write a book on the art of living. Osho tells the story that he was arrested by his students, and they said, if you don't write something down, we're not going to let you go. So he wrote the 81 chapters, 81 short chapters of the Tao Te Ching, and then left. And that's how the Tao Te Ching came into being. So there's some spiritual rumors that Lao Tzu's still alive. Okay. What is the Tao journey? Okay, you might want to just look at the screen for this section. My teacher says the Tao journey is the Jin Dan journey. Okay. So Tao Te Ching is 2 books. It's actually 2 books. And many scholars in China, they're claiming that it's the other way around. Okay. It's the De Tao Ching. So Tao is the universal source, if you like, the universal laws and principles. De is the virtue bestowed upon those that live in alignment with that universal intelligence, if you like. Ching means text. So the reason why Lao Tzu never wanted to write anything is because he said the second you put words onto paper, the second you get a concept in your mind of what the Tao is, it's not that, okay? You've lost the essence of the Tao. That's why he never wanted to write anything down. But when he did, and we'll get into the first chapter in a minute, the first line that he wrote was, the Tao that can be comprehended by thoughts or spoken by words is not the true Tao. What he's saying is everything I write in this book from now on is not Tao, okay? And I'll explain why that is in a minute. But basically, what he's trying to do here in the book Tao, he's trying to point us in the direction of what the Tao is, even though he can't explain it with words. The second part of the book is him explaining how to live in harmony with this force, with the Tao, okay? So some people think it's the other way around. Many scholars in China are saying it's the De Dao Jing. He tried to explain first what it was like to live in harmony with it. Then he tried to explain what it was. So the difference between the Tao Te Ching and my teacher's teaching on the Tao, and my teacher said as well, he's lived with the Tao Te Ching for years, every day. And what his techniques are how to apply spiritual practices to meld, align with the Tao, okay? So in Taoist practice and in my teacher's Tao, the Tao journey is the Jin Dan journey, okay? So this is the Jin Dan journey. It is to create a spiritual Jin Dan. It's called a Jin Dan. It's a golden light ball in the core of your being, in the Kung Gung. Okay, there's many different areas. That's why I want you to have a pen and a pad that I'll explain. But fundamentally, the Kung Gung I don't know if I can't mute you guys, can everyone just mute their line?
Sorry.
That's okay. So the Kung Gung is a sacred location behind the navel in the center of the body. And in Taoism, they call it the oil lamp. Okay. And I'm going to explain how we leak oil and how we can restore oil. But fundamentally, if you look at this diagram, with spiritual practice, we can build this Jindan. And this is building a light body, okay? When this light body becomes bigger than our whole being, we reach soul, mind, body enlightenment. This is longevity. In Taoism, longevity is the key. So we have more time to fulfill our spiritual practice. And also, at that stage, we can take our physical body anywhere. So these might be big leaps, big concepts to wrap your head around. So you can ask questions on this, that's fine. So here's a couple of, before we get into the text, here's a couple of things that we'll keep going back to throughout this presentation. In Taoism, this line here, this is the navel line. These energy centers down the base of the body is called the Zhong. It is the core of life. So if you look at this slide, if you see this tree and a tree is growing to the heavens, do you think that tree would be able to reach the heavens if it didn't have a strong roots? Okay, we need strong roots, a strong foundation. So we have the first three chakras. We have the lower dantian, which is in the middle of the second and the third, and just in front. We have this area here is the snow mountain. It's called snow mountain in Buddhism. In Taoism, they call it golden urn. In yoga, they call it the Kundalini. And this area here, very sacred location, this is called the Ming Men. It's an acupuncture point, but this is the Tao point in the body. So basically the Buddha, and I'm going to shift between Buddhism and Taoism because they're the same, but they're a slightly different path to the same goal, but they're very much the same at the top. So this is something my teachers just shared, and it's very profound. So the heart is our purity, okay? We purify the heart so we can become more pure beings, more selfless, less egoic, less out of the mind and more in the heart. It's also where our soul stands in heaven, our layer of soul standing consciousness. It's also the soul communication center. If we have a lot of trauma, and we'll go over this, and we close our heart, okay, we are literally closing ourselves off to the spiritual world, receiving information from our guides and from our higher self. I found that strong foundation is key for longevity. Okay, so this is actually applying Buddhism and Taoism. Now, if you look at this, many people think that building this area is the key to opening your third eye. And my teacher says soul communication and spiritual channels is an open heart. And also when we have strong lower Kundalini energy, this actually feeds the kidneys, and we'll explain the importance of that. It nourishes the spine up, and that's actually the key for opening our third eye. If you have, like my wife, for example, my wife's always had open channels. When she started spiritual practice with my teacher, she really started seeing a lot of spiritual images, but this was very weak, okay? And a student of my teacher, along one of his first disciples, she said, the best way I can explain what Danielle's going through, because my wife was exhausted for the first like 2 or 3 years because she was seeing so much, was she said, it's like one of those kids' balloons that have got a weight at the bottom, and like you can punch in, it'll keep rolling back like this. She said, it's like one of them upside down, okay? That's how she explained what Danielle was going through. So we're going to keep coming back to this and come back to this throughout the text, but I think we should move on to the text now. Okay, so I'll read the text through first, and we'll get into a meditative state. So I invite you all to just sit up and close your eyes, and again, go inward on the breath. And feel how the body, the form, is naturally pulled to the earth, where it belongs, where it comes from, where it will return to. And also bring your awareness with every breath to the part of you that is not subject to birth and death, that is not being pulled down towards the earth. If we hear any sounds, like there's just been a horn that goes past, totally fine. Be aware of how sound comes into being, exists, and then fades away. Comes from stillness and silence. Chapter 1. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Yet mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness. The gateway to all understanding. I just sit with that. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Lao Tzu throughout this text is constantly drawing our awareness to two states. The world of form. In Taoism, it's called the Yo world. The Buddha called it Tse, okay? It's the world of things, form, existence. This world, everything is impermanent. You think of our bodies. Since we've been on this call for 22 minutes, we have changed. Every part of our being has changed. In many ways, we've actually died. That body is dead now, okay? There's also a world that in Taoism they call the Wu world. Buddha called it Kong. It's emptiness. It's no thingness. It's not a thing. This is the world of things. It's not a thing, but it's always present. It's ness. It's got a ness to it. It's a no thingness. It's there. So what he's saying in this text is the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. That's all this. Once you write it down, it becomes impermanent. It becomes the world of existence. You've lost it in a way. The unnameable is eternally real. He's saying that that existence is always here. It's always, it's not impermanent, it's permanent. Naming is the origin of all particular things. This is the Yo world or the Sir world, the existence world. Free from desire, when we're free from this, desires, attachments, you realize the mystery. You realize that there is something beyond this world of form. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. So I always think it always makes me think of when I used to be a commercial abseil window cleaner. Sometimes me and my mate, we'd get into work early and it was still, the sun hadn't come up yet, it was still dark. And then as the sun had come up, we'd be on the top of a skyscraper in Sydney, and we'd look down and we'd see all the hustle and bustle, the lights, taxi drivers beeping their horns, people getting up and like rushing to get to work, and the sky would be empty and spacious and still and calm. And I used to think about this first chapter. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations, okay? This is the world of the earth. It's matter, it's dense. There's drama there. But if you're free from that, if you can still yourself, if you're free from desires and attaching to form, you can realize this, the mystery. Yet these two, yet mystery and manifestation arise from the same source. This is going to make a bit more sense in later chapters. He goes on to say, this source is called darkness, darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding. So even here in the world of form, yin and yang actually exist here. We'll go into this later, but even the world of the spiritual world actually exists here. The soul world is a part of existence. It's a part of form. The Wu world, the Tao, the Kung, is the creator of even the spiritual world. Later on, Lao Tzu says, even though there's no form, there's something there, okay? There's something there. Darkness within darkness, it's beyond darkness, it's emptiness, the gateway to all understanding. So, does anybody want to share anything on that? Or does anybody want to, because this text, what you need to realize is, this is a text to live with forever, because as we open up more to understand more, the text will open up to us, the same as any true spiritual text, whether it's the Bible, even modern day books like the Power of Now. You know, I read the Power of Now many times. I still get insights into it. So yeah, this book is definitely a book for life. It'll keep opening up to the reader. But does anybody want to ask any questions, or does anybody want to share anything on this? Please feel free. No, that's okay. Does anybody not understand this? Because I'll tell you, with the Tao Te Ching, I spoke to a guy who gave me acupuncture once, he had images of Tao and yin yang everywhere. And I asked him what his favorite book was, and I thought he was going to say the Tao Te Ching. And he said, I didn't like the Tao Te Ching because I didn't understand it. So as many people don't even understand the Tao Te Ching, even in China. Yeah, someone's put their hand up. Who's that?
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
Hey, good, mate. How you going?
It's more of a share. So it was about 14 years ago. I was fortunate enough to go and live with a Taoist priest in China for a year.
Wow.
And he actually said not to even bother reading anything. He says all the tourists are crazy because you're all stuck in your heads trying to understand things. And until you could sit still for an hour without any pain to distract you, he said, don't ask me any stupid questions. And he says, and when you have the experience, you won't need to ask the question because you'll know it through the doing. And actually having you go through, and I have read this a few times, but not for a long time, but I'm getting something new out of it right now. It was actually a wushu school as well. So it was such a very simple lifestyle, and a lot of options, more so distractions, were taken out of the space. And it made it very easy to do the practice, the sitting practice. And I think even to get 20 seconds of that emptiness was not like it wasn't like a feeling, but there was no desire to leave that space. There was nothing that could pull you out of it, but you weren't there to be pulled out of it. And so even explaining it's going to fall short. So it's just in the doing.
100%. I couldn't agree more, and I appreciate you sharing that. You know, I'm sharing bits of what I know, but I definitely have not experienced even a fraction of the layers to this, because on the screen, you know, we're constantly distracted by this world of form.
Definitely now.
Absolutely. But that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come back to this, because at the same time, it's a paradox. You know what I mean? People at the same time need some type of practice or something to try and get them to detach from this, because even if you look at like light and dark forces, which we don't need to go into, the darker forces just keep us here. Okay, that's their practice. So just keep you in the world of form, keep you attached, keep you afraid. And what are you attached to? You're attached to matter. Okay, many people, you look at like rap artists or whatever, and they've got a lot of gold chains, and you've got a lot of cars, you've got a lot of houses. All that is actually heavy. Okay, it keeps us stuck, earthbound, distracted. And not only that, when we do die or leave this body, we're so attached to the material world. So that's the world that we're in right now. We need to take, even just starting off with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and work your way up to just let the mud settle so that we can have some type of experience with this. But that's why I think that was beautiful sharing just then. Why I think integrating my teacher's teaching in this is important is because I haven't heard him say this, but I believe that my teacher's approach to it is, how can people who live in the world with families and jobs apply a spiritual practice that will help move in the direction of melding with the Tao? Because we can't all go to the Wudang Mountains and sit with Taoist priests in silence for 3 years. You know, in the olden days, there's a great story with Lietzu. Lietzu is another Taoist sage. And when he found his master, he sat outside of his hut. I think he sat there for nearly 12 months waiting for him. And he was going through all this spiritual testing. He was saying, my teacher, I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting my life. There's no way he's going to speak to me. So he ended up leaving before the master came out.
I'm on a Zoom till 8. I'm on a Zoom till 8. Thanks.
Anyone can unmute. Just check if you're muted or not. And if you're not, can you just mute yourself? So he waited for 12 months. Then he left for a month or so, and then he came back. And then he waited for another however long, months or years, I don't know how long it was. And the master came out and said, what's with all this coming and going? And it was only when Lietzu got to a point where he was so content that he didn't want anything anymore. Whether the master came out or he didn't, he was happy where he was, just sitting in stillness. Then the master came out, then he was ready to receive the teachings. But if we have families, a lot of us don't have the time to do that. So there is spiritual practices that we can apply. This is something I have experienced, is as we build a strong foundation and we navigate in the world more grounded and centered, as we open our heart and become more naturally compassionate, as we open our spiritual channels, we can definitely find insight, peace, and stability in the world. Does anyone want to ask anything before we go on to the second chapter? Okay. So again, we'll close our eyes. Just focus on the breath. And just like the Jin Dan practice, see like a small sun. Okay, we use the mind as a tool. See like a small sun, a Jin Dan, just behind the navel, inside the body, a little bit lower. And breathe. Breathe into this location. And feel the warmth and the light coming from this Jin Dan and nourishing your being. Chapter 2. When people see things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore, the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why it lasts forever. A beautiful chapter. So, as I said, we're in the Tao book here. So he's constantly trying to explain what it's like to live in harmony with the Tao. Does anybody want to share anything first that they've got from that before I go into anything? Please feel free to say what you want when you want. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. In Buddhism, this is called the middle path. Okay, we look at yin yang. We think that yin yangs are opposites, but if we look at the symbols, so much in this symbol. The circle around the outside represents the Tao. It represents the wholeness. Then as the Tao manifests the world, the existence, the Sir world, the world of form, this world, which is all impermanent and fleeting, yin yang is born, but they're interdependent. They swim towards each other. They carry the essence of each other. So in these first few sentences, when people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. This is the interaction, the communication, union between yin and yang. If we become too yin or too yang, this equilibrium is lost. If you look at most relationships now, because so many people are attached to this world, and we have no understanding whatsoever of this world, we fluctuate between extremes all the time. I lived a great part of my life like this. You might see a relationship, 1 minute they absolutely love each other, okay? They're going to get married, and just like that, they hate each other, they're going to get a divorce. So they're constantly fluctuating between too much yin, too much yang. So the Buddhist tradition, they call it the middle path. It is to stay in the center and be balanced. Now, how do you do that? It's through detachment. So with this diagram, when we can stay with this Kung, this Wu world, the Tao, which is going to make more sense as we go, we can be detached from things as they come and go. We don't attach to good, bad, things we like, things we dislike. I heard the Dalai Lama once give a beautiful teaching on this, and he said, one way to stay in the middle path is when blessings arise in your life, you share those blessings, the merit for those blessings with all sentient beings, okay? May all beings throughout the 10 directions in Buddhism, they call it the 10 directions, I share this merit with them all to relieve the suffering of all sentient beings. If you have a challenge or you're suffering, you can say, dear my suffering, may my suffering contribute to exhausting the karma of all sentient beings, the suffering of all sentient beings. Therefore, whether something good happens or something we see as being bad happens, everything's a service to the whole. And this helps us stay in the middle path. It's really funny because when I first heard this teaching, it was when we first was going traveling around Australia, sharing a collective peace movement. I got really sick for a few days and we were parked up by a public toilet, and I was vomiting in a public toilet. That was the dirtiest public toilet you've ever seen in your life. I had my head down this really gnarly toilet. And this teaching, I just said, forgive me for whatever I've done to be in this situation. And may my suffering contribute to relieving the suffering of all sentient beings. And honestly, it just took the whole, it brought a humility to the practice. It was there was no resistance there. So being and non-being create each other. This is all the same. This is this interaction, this interdependence between yin and yang. Difficult and easy support each other, long and short define each other, high and low depend on each other, before and after follow each other. It's like trying to explain to someone what up is without down. We can't do it. Yes, Cheryl, do you want to share something?
I was just thinking, so that's the balance between the permanent and impermanent. When you first put that up, I was thinking that it was backwards, that permanent was the things, because most humans believe in that the material things are the permanent things, like your chair, your desk, like your house, and that the impermanent things are the things that you can't see and you can't touch, like spirit, or all the things beyond are what our human reality is. And so to see that different is a whole nother way to look at it from a human that's in their human existence. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that right, but that just seems really powerful to me. Does that make sense? I don't know.
A little bit. I think I missed your core essence of what you were trying to say then.
So with the yin and yang balance, when it says the being and non-being, the difficult and easy, the long and short, that for me, that is like the permanent and the impermanent as well.
Yes. Okay.
And so, but the permanent, for me, when you first showed that slide and said permanent and impermanent, I thought I had them backwards, that the permanent was the things, the physical, things we see, right? And so to see them different, that's a different shift in focus than I think many people would see that. They would go, oh no, but the permanent things are like my house and my car and my computer or whatever. And that the impermanent are all the spiritual aspects of life that we can't see.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But this is why Buddhism is so important with the teaching of emptiness, and we will go into that. But if you fundamentally look at everything from a thought, the breath, the house that you're living in, a mountain, okay, even a mountain, they may seem, some of them, a mountain might seem permanent, but it's not. It's always changing. Everything is dependent on everything else, but is always changing. It's always dying to the past. It exists in time and space, you see. And we'll go further into this.
So do you think that many people's perspective is that permanence is what's holding them in the physical?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So look here, everybody is attached to the world of existence, the world of form.
And that will make it so much harder, especially in this interesting time we're in now.
That's why we're here. That's why we're sharing and getting together right now. Because if during this time, one of you guys, at least one of you guys makes the effort to sit or do the practices we share and has some form of a physical experience of melding with this reality, you'll be an example for your family, you'll be your community and the world. It's about detaching from this. And Lao Tzu, we're going to get into some beautiful chapters. Lao Tzu says when you just are here and you're observing these things and allowing them to come and go, you become kind-hearted as a grandmother, disinterested. Okay, you become detached, you become peaceful, your heart becomes peaceful. There's no more fear of death. Everyone's afraid of dying right now. So we'll get into that. We'll get into that. Who else has got, someone's got their hand up? Thank you. Thanks, Cheryl.
Yeah, it actually sounds like I'm sure everybody's kind of looking into common law and things nowadays as well. It actually sounds a lot like you were talking about the evil forces and matter. So it's like if you get stuck taking a title, which is a creation of man, it's like you're identifying something that's owned by the system, where if you're coming forward as I am, you are the nothing, and you don't give an opportunity to be pulled into another jurisdiction to be owned. It just seems very, just universal law, it just seems very correlative.
It does. It makes perfect sense. This is the world of, I think Tom Barnett was saying, you know, there's in Australia, there's over 7 million laws, statutes, and acts.
And code. Yeah, all the creations of man, as opposed to I am. So like Genesis story.
It's actually this. I was going to get into this in later, but we made. Sorry, someone's not got their phone muted, their line muted. I was going to go into this in a little bit later chapters. But this is basically the down normal and reverse creation. I'm only going to skim over it here. So this is this line here. Above this line is the woo world, which is the world of that we spoke of, the no thingness world. And what happens is, I'm going to just skim over this. The Tao over eons creates a condition of one. This is called Hundun Ichi. It means blade condition. Heavy chi and light chi separate. So heavy chi falls, light chi rises, and it creates the world of form. Below this line is the yo world, the existence world. So what we have is two. Two is yin and yang. Heaven and earth, even heaven, even the spiritual world is not in Tao. It's a creation of Tao. It's still form. Okay. So this is yin yang. Now 2 plus 1 equals 3. So what that is, it's the yin and yang plus the Tao create 3, which create all things. I'll give you an example, the human body. The physical body we see comes from the earth. The soul comes from the spiritual dimension. But everything is within the Tao. There is an aspect of everything that is the Tao. It's called the Yuanshen, means original soul. We're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. We'll go into that. So yin yang plus the Tao creates 3. 3 creates all things. Wan Wu means 10,000. It represents everything. So what we have here is one unified field, one becoming the countless manifestations. This is where humanity and everything is. And we're going to go really deep into this circle in these groups. But everything is naturally on its reverse cycle as well, which means all things return to 3, to 2, to 1, to Tao. Lao Tzu shared this wisdom. He hid it in the text. I only know this because of my teachers shared this wisdom. What he said was, Ren Fa Di Di fa tian, tian fa dao, dao fa ziran. What that means is ren, which is humanity. The essence of a human being, we only live, let's say, 100 years typically. The earth, they're saying, is, you know, over 4.5 billion years old. So we are governed by Earth's laws, okay? We follow the earth. The earth follows heaven, which means anything that happens on earth is a spiritual reason for it, okay? Anything that happens in our life is karma. There's this karma for that. Heaven follows the Tao. Tao Fa Ziran means Tao follows nature, follows what is natural. Okay, so how we can return home to Tao is purifying our essence, our Shen Qi Jing. I'll go into Shen Qi Jing a bit later. So that our essence, our Shen Qi Jing, which is soul, heart, mind, energy, and matter. See, with this journey, I'll just go back to this. With this, when we purify, build our light body and build our Shen Qi Jing, we can meld our essence, our Shen Qi Jing, with Mother Earth's Shen Qi Jing. Then we're not governed by Mother Earth's laws, okay? Then we can, through a lot of spiritual practice, purify our Shen Qi Jing, our essence, to meld with heaven. And then finally, we reach Yu Dao Hejin. Yu Dao Hejin means meld with Dao. Now, a lot of mantras, which we'll get into, different mantras, a lot of mantras, all that my teachers shared, all say the same thing. They're all calling the soul of every being and chanting different forms of reverse creation. So we're helping all beings that are stuck here in birth, old age, sickness, death, birth, old age, sickness, and death. We can't get out of this. We're stuck here. The world of form, attachments, desires, greed, ego. We can't get home. We can't get home to the Tao. So all the mantras are like Tian Di Ren Hui or Shen Qi Jing Hui. These mantras mean heaven, Mother Earth, human beings join as one. One is Tao. So when you chant that for all beings, you're purifying your own being, but you're also helping all the manifested beings here caught in suffering. You're helping them return home. Cheryl, you got another question though?
No, all good, Darlin. Thank you.
Sorry, I just saw your hand there. Okay, well, that was probably more information than I was going to share on the first day, which is fine. So if I share the recording of this, you can go over it, and if there's any questions, you can please reach out in the group. But I think we should do a little meditation. We might finish a little bit early tonight. We'll just do maybe 20 minutes, half an hour meditation. Before we do that, does anybody want to ask any questions? No questions is good. Or it is the question, sorry.
Hi, Nick.
Hello.
Hi, Lucy.
How are you?
I don't really have any questions. Really big thank you for doing this, because the timing for me personally, you know, with everything that's going on, is my internet cutting out? I don't know.
It did at the very beginning, but it's okay now.
Okay, yeah. So for me personally, is much needed, because I'm at a real crossroads in my life, and understanding more and more the messages that I'm getting in my meditation is being, you know, being just being, and not so much but for such a long time I was in that state of impermanence, of creation, and you know, in the material world and really not having a lot of satisfaction in that. And although there's an upheaval going on in the world and so much, you know, shit hitting the fan, I'm also really grateful for it too, because I can see we need to be here, you know, to transform ourselves into the next level on the earth plane. So this practice is, for me, I feel is going to really help. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. And it goes into the second part of this chapter. For the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. If you look at this, things arise here and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. There's no attachment. She has but doesn't possess. Therefore, anything that's in her life, and in this text, this particular one, Stephen Mitchell alternates between saying he and she, because in China they don't really use that. You can just speak about the master without using he or she. She has but doesn't possess. There's no attachments. Things come, she uses them, and then she lets them go. She doesn't attach them. She acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That's why it lasts forever. This is actually what Lao Tzu did with the Tao Te Ching. He wrote the Tao Te Ching because someone asked or someone arrested him, however it went, and then he forgot about it. And it's lasted, it's timeless. It's lasted 2,500 years. He forgot about it. He didn't care if anyone read it or not. So, you know, this yin-yang balance that we're looking at here, I've always said since the beginning of this COVID situation, I said, what's happening now is a good thing, because we are definitely going through a huge transitional period, which my teachers warned or tried to prepare us for over, 20 years. All the great ancient traditions from all over the world have all said that this is the great time of change. So while everyone's sitting at home drinking beers and watching Netflix, we need things to, if we're not going to do it, we need things to push us in that direction. Okay. I was an atheist for 2 years and would argue with people who spoke about religion and spirituality. I was a pain in the ass. And I moved into an apartment that was haunted. Okay. And I had some really full-on experiences, and it was the best blessing in my life. Without it being that full-on, it just wouldn't have pushed me in the right direction. So there's always, even here, good, bad, things we like, things we dislike, there's always a greater intelligence at work. And by taking a higher perspective and melding with this, letting the mud settle, we can align with it. So I invite everyone to get comfortable. And this is also yin-yang balance, yin-yang alternation. One aspect, we go over the teachings, and the other half is the meditation. Remember, the meditation is where we gain insight. It's when we let the mind settle and we create space. We create a space for insight to come. Not only that, there's also what meditation does in the physical world, okay? When we settle ourselves, we move into heart-based, coherent emotions. We influence the field. That's what we're contributing to the field that connects all life. So as we do these meditations are so important. So close our eyes. We're going to put both palms over our lower abdomen, just below the navel. If you can see my screen, when you clench your fist like this, where your middle finger touches your palm naturally, there's an acupuncture point there that you emit energy from, okay? So with body power, wherever you place your hand is where you're going to receive healing, okay? You got a sore shoulder, you can literally heal yourself with your hand. So when we put both palms over the lower abdomen, we are building a strong foundation. Now, you think of how much energy we leak throughout the day by thinking of the future or the past, constantly leaking energy from pushing energy out of our mouth through too much talking, through what we see, and so on and so forth, all the drama that's going on in the world, constantly leaking energy. So the Taoist longevity practice is to put all your focus in your lower dantian, in your Jin Dan. Put your hands over your lower abdomen and allow that to build internal energy. Build strong roots. A mantra does the same thing. You keep your vision in the same place. We won't chant a mantra tonight, but you keep your vision in the same place. You chant a mantra, a sacred mantra, over and over again. One thought, bringing all that leaking energy to one thought and one message that's going to save the whole of creation. The next, so this is body power, using our hands to strengthen the body. Next is soul power. There's a physical component to our body. If I want to move this arm, okay, energy moves the arm. But there's a soul, there's an intelligence that directs the energy that moves the matter. Therefore, if you needed me to help you change a car tire, and I didn't know you were there, you would shout me, "Hey, Nick, can you help me?" Yeah, fine. So when we invoke the soul world, my teacher says, call the soul world, call the Tao, call God, call Jesus, Mary, all the Buddhas, anyone you resonate with, or all of them. Call them to bless this practice and practice with us. This will really bless our practice quantum. So I'm going to invoke the soul world. As I do, as I call the soul world, I invite you to see and feel them, okay? Because your mind might be drifting. You might be thinking of things. That's okay. Keep bringing it back into the lower abdomen. There's many different things we can do. Be really flexible. As I call the soul world, you might want to see them in your lower abdomen, okay? This is a spiritual practice that my teacher's teacher used to do. It's a very powerful practice. Their essence will come into your body and build your body. In Taoism, the whole universe is in your lower dantian. If not, you can see them outside of yourself, blessing you, whatever comes natural. Dear the Tao, the source, dear divine, dear God, dear Yuanling. Yuanling is all enlightened beings everywhere. Healing angels, archangels, holy saints, Taoist saints, Buddhas, bodhisattvas, heaven's generals, soldiers, Akashic record workers, keepers, leaders, ascended masters, lamas, gurujis, kahunas, indigenous elders of the lands. We love you, honor you, appreciate you. You're all our ancestors. The Tien Di Ren, heaven, Mother Earth, and all life in between, humanity and all life in between. Please forgive us and our ancestors for any mistakes we've made in this life and past lives. We offer our unconditional forgiveness to anyone that's ever hurt or harmed us in this life or past lives. Dear all of our ancestors, this is the lifetime that we need to come together. We need to heal. This is the time. See and feel the support of all your ancestors. Feel the love from Mother Earth. Mother Earth serves us unconditionally. It follows the Tao. No matter if we keep abusing this planet, she keeps providing for us. The sun is unconditional. If you're a good person or a bad person, it still shines on you. The Tao is humble. It gives birth to everything, but we don't know what it is. Therefore, its nature is humble. So see and feel the presence of all the souls we've invoked. See the Jindan, small sun. If you have trouble visualizing it, see the sun in your lower abdomen. We're going to move this around the body and feel different emotions, and then we're going to sit in silence for a little bit. So see this Jindan rotating clockwise, anti-clockwise, all directions, backwards, forwards, and see it being nourished by all of the spiritual beings we've called from the heavens, from Mother Earth. See it get bigger. As it gets bigger, know and have the intention that this benevolent light is not just nourishing us, but it's nourishing the field that connects all life. We're going to see it move down to the first root chakra in between the genitals and the anus. If there's any external noise, that's okay. Use it as a mindfulness bell to bring you back to the practice. This center is Da Guangming, its greatest light. So see light coming from 360 degrees from all of our ancestors, spiritual fathers and mothers, from Mother Earth herself, from the heavens and the Tao, into our first chakra. And see it act like a pump, pumping light up the center channel. And feel this light from head to toe, skin to bone, nourishing every system, nourishing your mind, every system, your heart, your lungs, every organ, every cell, every DNA and RNA, every space in the body, your 5 elements, your yin-yang energy circles, your meridians, your acupuncture points. And now we're going to see a second Jindan. A second Jindan come from the first into the second chakra. In the center channel of the body. And what we're seeing the light, but what we're going to embody is gratitude. This is the gratitude center. With every inhale and exhale, we're going to feel grateful. If you can't just feel, I've had people say they can't just feel a condition like that. Use your mind as a tool. Think of something you're grateful for. If you have trouble doing it, think of your kids, your wife, your parents. Think of Mother Earth, the ocean, the breath you're taking right now, whatever it is, feel grateful. And we can see two jindans, like two suns in our lower abdomen. Now we're going to see a third one come from the second one, and it's just behind the navel. This is Da Chenbe, humility. Feel humility. Be humble. Be blameless. Be harmless. Breathe in humility. Breathe out humility. Three jindans in the lower abdomen now. We're going to bring a fourth one to the heart. Feel and see your heart space expanding way beyond your physical body. This is Da-I, greatest love, unconditional love in this center. Meld your love, our love, with the love of nature. Humans' love is very conditional. We love people who love us. But feel the love of nature. Unconditional love. And see this light. Now 4 jindans in the center channel of the body, nourishing our being, purifying our field, and offering, contributing unconditional love to all beings. Breathe it in. Breathe it out. We're going to create another jindan in our throat. Da Fu, this is unconditional greatest service. Make a commitment to use our speech correctly. My teacher said, ancient saying, disasters come from speech. The Tao Te Ching says, the sage goes around teaching, no talking. See incredible light purifying our self-talk, purifying how we speak about ourselves. We see another jindan form in the center of our brain. The condition is Da Quan Shu. It means unconditional forgiveness. I forgive all beings. Feel that. Drop the burden. In Buddhism and Zen tradition, they say, if not now, when? When are we going to forgive? What are we waiting for? I forgive all beings. All beings, please forgive me. All souls, forgive each other. Feel that line. Feel all beings forgiving each other. Bring universal love, universal peace, universal harmony. Going to see another Jindan come to the above the crown chakra. 7 Jindans now completely lighten up this center channel like a Christmas tree. This is Da Yuanman. This is greatest enlightenment. Feel our soul, heart, mind, energy, and matter one with the Tao. We're going to see a Jindan come from this Jindan, come down the back of our head, down our spine to the Mingmen point, which is at the back of the body, directly behind the navel. This area is the entry to the Waijiao. I'll explain this later on in the future groups. It's the biggest space in the body. It's in front of the spinal column, the whole width of the back of the body. It is the ocean in the body. It is the Tao point. Acupuncture point at the top allows in universal heaven, spiritual energy, soles of our feet, and in the base of our being allows in Mother Earth's energy. The Mingmen point allows the essence of the Tao. Our whole body is golden light. The condition is Da'at Sabe, greatest compassion. Understand the suffering in the world. Make a commitment in your heart to serve all beings. From this Jindan, we're going to see a Jindan again in the lower dantian. It's in the lower abdomen, but it's not in the center channel. It's just in front of the first and second chakra. It's key for longevity. We can never have too much energy in this location. And as this energy is building, it's accumulating, it's still being nourished by all the beings we invoked in this practice. It is growing. The condition for this is Da Chang Sheng. That means the greatest flourishing. We feel flourishing in our health, in our relationships, in our finances, in our thinking, every aspect of our being, and wish for all beings to flourish by aligning with the universal laws and principles. An ancient saying is follow Tao flourish, go against Tao finish. If you move with the currents of the Tao and the universal laws and principles, you will flourish. You go against them, you'll finish or end. Feel flourishing. And the last one we're going to see, the last one is just in front of the base of the tailbone, the base of the spine. is the Kundalini. Jin down in that area, and just see light from that coming up the spine and nourishing the brain. The body lit up like a Christmas tree. The condition for that location is that Hershia is the greatest harmony. Feel harmony between the organs, the cells, your heart and mind. We take a deep breath in, and as we release, we're going to release everything. And just stay with the breath for a few minutes. 5 minutes. Just follow the breath. Detach from everything. Someone's line's not muted, but it's totally fine. Observe how the mind might label it, the sounds, and also be aware of how the sound comes into being and then returns to silence. We'll use everything as a tool. when we learn to be comfortable in silence, a practice we can do throughout the week is, even when we're with our families, keep our awareness in our lower dantian, where we would usually want to share something. Maybe let it go. Maybe practice not having to share. Is what we're going to say important? Will it make a difference? And get comfortable with one, sitting in silence, and also be aware of what we're leaking out. And every time we become aware that we're leaking out, bring it back to light in the lower dantian. From our heart, we say, may all beings be happy, peaceful, healthy. May all beings be free of suffering and their causes. May all beings find the Dharma, the teachings. May all beings meld with Tao. We finish a practice, put our hands in the prayer position, and we say, how means perfect. We give appreciation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We give love, love you, love you, love you. And we say gong song, gong song, gong song means respectfully return. Whenever you're ready, if you want to stay in this space, you feel free to stay in this space. If anybody wants to share anything, they can. If anybody wants to ask any questions, you can. We'll feel free. Okay. If no one has anything to share or any questions, that's fine. I will post this. I might put it on my YouTube, I don't know. But I'll get this up so that you can rewatch it. Probably will do an hour later next week. We'll start at 7, so it'll be 8 o'clock in the UK. And I just want to thank you all so much for taking the time to get online. I hope you enjoyed it. And I encourage you to keep reading the text.
Nick, can I say something?
Yes.
Hi, Nick, finally.
Yeah, how you going, Josie? Nice to see
I'm
you.
good. I know, it's so lovely to speak to you finally.
Yes.
Great journey. Just wanted to say thank you very much, that's all. Just really, really grateful for all you do.
No, thank you. And all you do as well.
Yeah, just looking forward to next few weeks, moving us on a different direction. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All thank yous go to the great masters, my teacher, and obviously everything goes back to God. So thank you all. I love you all very, very much. Okay. Take care. Have a beautiful night, and I'll see you next week. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you.
You all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye now. Bye, everybody.